episode 123 of SEDDY Bimco, Part 2, The Revenge. I can't believe it.
How many episodes would you say I've been on?
Since 50, right? That's when you started? 51?
Was it? Wow, was it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know those Cablasto lost episodes, though.
Oh, there's a few of those.
Yeah.
But we're touring the 50 nifty United States, and this week I chose a film made in Texas.
Really is Texas.
Uncertain Texas. That's the name of the town.
I know. I love it.
We'll have a controversy later, George, but I read the movie came out in 1966 in some places, and it said 1969 in other places. So I'm going with 66.
I heard 68.
Yeah, so
nobody knows.
It's called Curse of the Swamp Creature.
Yep.
We'll get to it. I have an age-old question, George.
Yes, Tim.
Did the cat expert ever get revenge on her book publisher who insisted her book, all about kitty litter, be a scratch and sniff book? Wasn't that a bad idea?
That
Terrible
was a bad
publisher.
joke, too. Yep.
He wanted the doctor to publish his all about armpit book, also, in the scratch and sniff form.
He wanted the doctor?
Yeah, to publish his all about armpit book.
Doctors don't publish things.
Well, this doctor came to this publisher because it's this bad publisher. Let's go on. Let's not talk about the all about hemorrhoids book.
Whoa.
Oh.
It's SEDDY Bimco Part 2, The Revenge. The show where we create revenge sequels that nobody wanted.
It's SEDDY Bimco, Part 2, The Revenge.
America's foremost revenge-themed podcast. Every single week, we watch a movie that never had a revenge-themed sequel, and boy, howdy, do we create a revenge-themed sequel for it.
And after we talk about this movie, we have a random question we pick. We ask who from this movie would do something, because that adds unbridled hilarity and
flop sweat when we try to spur them on. I mean, honestly, though, I mostly spin mine off the top of my head. You write novels.
No, this is the wild card.
No, I'm saying even my official revenge story is 9 times out of 10 a wild card. Like today, I didn't write anything. Card. Yeah, let's hear it. What is it?
Don't tell people.
Shh.
Oh.
Shh.
So at the end of this, after we talk about this movie, we're going to ask which character is most likely to 43.
Ooh, that's one of mine.
Have all their clothes fall off while meeting the Queen of England.
That's hot.
Anything
you want to talk about that happened in the world?
Oh my God, I'm just used to you having it.
I got something.
I didn't.
Nothing's
happening. There's so much crazy stuff.
So much crazy stuff, but this thing is less crazy. So I was poking around the app Letterboxd. Now, I have been on Letterboxd for quite some time, but I never did anything with it. I just follow a few people whom I find their movie taste to be interesting, including you, Tim Hamilton.
Yep, I poked around.
And I was
poked around there.
So I started putting up a few reviews of movies that we've done, some of the recent ones. And I was looking through your list of movies that you've reviewed, and I realized there was a movie. I'm like, I don't remember this movie at all.
Oh, that we watched.
Slugs. And I'm like,
you picked it.
It was my choice. It was the episode 99. And I'm like, I have no memory of this thing. So I decided, Tim, I was going to listen to the episode, and know what I discovered?
You still don't remember it.
I don't. I remember there's one shot of one of the titular slugs with teeth. I remembered that part. I remember the opening sequence where some badly dubbed people one of them falls into a lake and is eaten.
Right.
I remember worms coming up. I remember a few things after hearing me talk about it, but left to my own devices, I remember nothing. But
wow.
I also realized listening to this episode, I looked at my phone where I downloaded it. I never finished listening to this episode.
Oh, you listened to it before. Well, I don't always listen to ours. Anyway,
does your wife,
Texas,
producer Mrs. Lee, does she enjoy SEDDY Bimco? Does she listen to the episodes?
No.
Yeah.
She listens to the promos. And then when I say goodnight to her and I say, did you listen to the promo? And she goes, yes, dear, you're funny.
Oh, yeah. So patronizing. Yeah. No, I got to say, I think my wife hates them. I know that she never, my previous podcast that I would do with the outrageous Riley Brown, Hypothetical Island, she never once listened to a single episode of that, I know.
Yeah, they spend enough time with us.
Yeah, I think she's sick of my shit. I think every time I record one of these, I'm risking annulment.
No, I mean our wives, both our wives. They're just
That's what I'm talking. Yeah,
they get enough of us.
They get enough. Like our shtick wears thin. You know, I would argue a lot of our listeners get sick of us. That's why they never finish the episode.
I don't believe it. All those people in Australia, they're listening.
All right, let's say something special at the end of this episode. And if anybody actually makes it through to the end, if they say what that word is to us, send it to us at seddybimco with an E at the end of gmail.com. And we will do something.
We'll comment on it.
Yeah, we'll comment on it. Tim will send you a drawing. I probably won't because I won't listen to the episode again. All right, should we talk about Texas?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Makes me think of Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
Well, again, you're asking me. Okay, I'm the flag. I thought you'd have all the stuff. The flag. It's pretty sensible. I hate to compliment.
I thought you would like
a star,
the flag.
2 stripes.
Do you know why it's the Lone Star?
Because that's the rating they get on Yelp.
Good one. Suck it, Texas. Do you know I learned while researching the flag that you know how Six Flags comes from Texas, the amusement.
Yeah, they get Six Flags on Yelp.
You know that's because Texas has had Six Flags over the course of its existence.
What?
Yeah, this is true.
I did not know that.
I didn't write them all down, but working from memory, it was because originally there was a French flag, perhaps, and then there was maybe a Spanish flag, then there was a Mexican flag, then there was their when they were their own republic, which was from like 1836 to 1845. Then they joined the United States, so they get like the flag that we know now. But then for a while there, they had a fucking Confederate flag because they are bad.
Right.
So that's the Six Flags, Confederate
all the way to
United
Juneteenth.
States. Yep. Really? Is that one? Juneteenth? That's Oklahoma.
Texas. That's when they admitted there was no longer slavery. It wasn't Texas. June.
I thought
they like waited. All right.
Texas. I know Texas.
We will meet later and fight about this.
Yep. Let's see what else. What else we got about Texas?
They have their own electrical grid because electricity from other states is very gay.
Yep.
Texas. Gotcha.
I did see that. So they have their own. They have their own power grid.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Pepper was invented there. They mentioned that everywhere.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Which, you know, I don't see Georgia leading into Coca-Cola was made here as much as Texas does Dr. Pepper. You know who's bigger than Dr. Pepper? Coca-Cola. I'm just saying, Texas. You got a lot to be proud of. Not the Alamo. You lost that battle. And not the Confederacy. You lost that battle, too. They remember a lot of times they got their asses kicked in Texas, don't they?
Yeah.
Second biggest state by landmass.
It is.
Second biggest state by population.
It is.
Some might say Texas is number 2. See what I'm doing there? Actually, the thing is, I actually quite like Texas. Like, as in my day job as New York Times bestselling author George O'Connor, I often make trips down to Texas, and I've gone to like San Antonio and Dallas and Houston many, many times. All 3 of those among the top 10 biggest cities in the United States.
Yeah.
The people in cities in Texas, pretty righteous. It's those people who live outside of the cities. That's where you get the yee-haw and the shooting and the rooting and the tooting stuff that gives Texas kind of a bad rep sometimes.
A bad rep?
I mean,
I was doing a book signing in Austin.
You literally... wait, you got a text?
Got a text.
Who was it from? Senator Ted Cruz?
From Senator Raphael Edward Cruz, you know.
Whoa.
He doesn't go by his birth name.
Yeah.
He identifies as Ted. That's right.
Yeah.
Gotcha, Texas again.
Gotcha, Ted. Let's see what else.
As far as I know, he helped assassinate JFK. You've heard that. And Trump says his wife is ugly. So these are facts.
Yep. This is all sadly true.
Sad but true. That wasn't a joke. If you don't know it.
Here's something else. Dallas Fort Worth Airport is bigger than the island of Manhattan. Apparently, that's true.
No,
that's what I read.
That's terrible.
Isn't that terrible?
That's terrible.
That's a big airport.
Is it just a airplane junkyard?
I imagine they're counted. Well, I mean, you figure runways and like parking lots. That's like 98% of it. I'm sure.
Do planes like take longer to take off there because of all that?
Because everything's bigger in Texas, except for their genitals. That's the only thing that's categorically smaller. Do we have a breakdown of our listening to? I mean, I can't imagine we have a big Texas listener.
We
love Texas. I do like Texas though. Like I do enjoy going there quite a lot. Like I said, San Antonio, Man, that city's great.
It's all the people. That's all. That's who. Depends who you run into.
Yep. You know what else about
go
Texas?
To Texas, you can run into Lee Harvey Oswald. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're good. It does lead the states in the assassinations of presidents.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why didn't you lead with that? I didn't realize that.
Well, it's where fucking Kennedy died.
Yeah, but who else?
Kennedy.
Because Lincoln was killed in Nebraska. Wait, where was he killed? Washington?
Washington.
See, he was killed in Washington.
Yep.
So that's two.
Who else was
they're
killed by
tied.
assassination? Yeah.
One of them's got to have one more.
I think there's like another president that was. Wow, we're bad at history.
We're a
Here's my
history
big fact.
podcast.
I started writing a top 10 list of facts about Texas, and the first thing I got was all my exes live in Texas. That's why I hang my hat in NYC. That's all I got.
That's all you got?
That's all I got. Oh, also
Okay.
they mispronounce Houston. It's pronounced Houston, as any New Yorker will tell you.
Right.
Yeah, take that, capital. That's all I got. I got nothing. I have some information about Uncertain Texas, which is the actual spot in Texas that tonight's movie. It's called Uncertain, which is great. I mean, if you look at pictures of this place, it looks good on the sign. Like where it says Uncertain Texas, that does look good. Like that's a good name for it. And did you hear how it's believed it got that sign?
I read 2 myths. They think they didn't know what to call it.
Yeah, and they wrote down
Yet.
Uncertain, and it got stuck.
Got stuck.
What's the other myth?
It's a flip-flopper town. The other myth is that is a myth.
You know,
And the
I'm
other
just going to go.
Old man uncertain
Oh, man,
got
Uncertain.
run down by a trolley car.
I think it was when they were their own. Let's make up a story. When they were their own republic, they tried to enter the UN, and they were certain they would get in, but they did not
that's
because
good.
the UN wouldn't exist until 1945. So they were just way too early, 100 years or so.
And it's also
what
going to be a
else?
place where, non-Jews would live, and they were going to call it uncircumcised. That would be Jews, right? God.
No, Jews are
No,
circumcised.
not. And
I
somebody
just wanted to know.
coughed when they said,
Tim just pulled down the front of his pants and checked. So to answer that question,
the guy who was going to name it coughed in the middle of saying uncircumcised, and they thought he said uncertain. Just bringing back that bonus arc joke.
I'm glad he didn't cough in the middle of a bris.
Right.
What else do I got? Oh, so the
it.
population of Uncertain Texas, did you see, as of the 2020 census, was 85 people.
Ooh.
Apparently, the spots that were featured in the movie still exist.
I read that too. I saw
Yep,
it. It's called the Flying Fish.
The Flying Fish and like the municipal airport that's adjacent to it. And I'm on the City of Uncertain's webpage right now, which looks pretty cool, actually.
And what movie do they show every summer?
I assume this one, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Thought that's what you were going to tell me.
Their logo is Gateway to the Beauty and Mystery of Caddo Lake.
Cool. That's fine. Looks nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. All right.
One person in that town bought the top album of 1966.
What was it?
Anyway, you got to guess?
1966. What did the Beatles do in 66? Sgt. Pepper? No, that was 68.
I just emailed
right?
it to you because I want you to see the cover.
Okay.
It's called Whipped
me see.
Cream and Other Delights.
I didn't get
That's
it.
the top album. Refresh.
Top album 66.
Just look at the picture. My parents had this, and guess what I stared at a lot? Look at the cover of that album.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Your parents did not have this?
No, of course not.
You know the song. Just click the very first song. And you'll be like, yes, I've heard this song a billion times. 'Cause
Taste
I
of
will hear
Honey?
it. The very first song, yeah. I believe it's called Taste of Honey. It's got horns. It's got the little opening, but then you'll be like, oh, I've heard this in every movie that's being
Can you
ironically
hear
funny.
it? Like, it's
No,
playing with
I
my
can't.
headphones. Oh,
But you know that song, right? Have you never heard this?
I don't know. It sounds like everything from Herb Alpert.
That's a famous one. They would play it like on themes to talk shows in the 70s. All right.
Okay,
Anyway.
you know what I didn't watch in the 70s, Tim?
You missed out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, clearly.
The Whipped Cream and Other Delights has a naked woman covered in whipped cream on the cover.
In theory, naked. It looks like she's wearing a skirt.
Don't ruin it.
I don't think she's naked at all. I think it was young Tim
Don't ruin it for 10-year-old Tim. Who's like,
10-year-old Tim is like,
this?
what happened to my National Geographic's mother? She's like, I took that away from you. It's like, well, then I must suffice with these Herb Alpert albums, mother. Right. And then she gave you a bowl cut.
You do amazing version of me.
Yeah, that's exactly how you sounded.
And my mother.
And your mother, too. Yeah, I'm a gifted mimic. Should we talk about this movie?
Yeah, and John Agar, he's a famous actor.
Apparently.
You feel bad for him?
No, he got paid for this.
No, but he used to be in John Wayne movies, and then he's in this.
This is a step up from John Wayne.
He was married too, did you see?
Nope.
George, he was married to Shirley Temple from 45 to 50.
Hopefully when she was a woman, not as the
45
child star.
to 50, so I believe she was adult. She was a child star like in the 30s.
Was she, wasn't she, she was a senator or something later, right? Or a politician?
She went on to be an ambassador.
Ambassador.
Shirley Black.
Yeah. Shirley Temple Black. Yeah. And she was in The Exorcist, right?
Yep. She was the devil.
Yep. And this movie, did you catch this? This movie was a remake?
Yeah, I saw that. That
of
was
a
a whole
movie
thing
called Voodoo Woman.
Yeah.
It was also made for TV, which I was stunned.
I was upset. Yeah. Because I'm like, not going to be blood in this, but there was a lot of stabbings.
Well, let's just say spoilers to everybody. Like, here's my first comment I wrote down was, holy shit, the dubbing. Like, this movie looked and sounded like crap. And the fact that this was creative, like, I would have sworn this was something that was played like in a drive-in in somewhere in the recesses of Texarkana.
Can you imagine seeing this on TV?
What the fuck?
Well, John Agar blames John Wayne for getting him hooked on booze and cigarettes. Just want to tell you that.
Is that true?
Oh, and here at SEDDY, we like to place our movies in time by talking about how many years before or after the original Star Wars they released. And if this came out
it's Tim. Tim likes
if this came out in 66, I guess that's 11 years before Star Wars. Yeah, 4 years before the Beatles break up.
I want to go back to 1966 is in the height of like the British invasion with the Beatles and stuff. How the fuck is Herb Alpert's Tijuana Brass the #1 album?
I Googled it, George. There was still a lot of old people around. Like, oh, those mop tops shaking their hips. They were burning Beatles albums because they were bigger than Jesus.
Yeah, well, but Jesus, most people didn't realize this. He's only 3 feet tall.
Yes. Well, you stack all those Beatles records and
you stack all those Jesuses on top of each other, you can reach the moon.
So, sorry, I derailed you. Derailed you. John Wayne.
Can I do something a little bit? All right, John. Can I do something a little bit different than what we normally do?
But put your shirt back on.
Okay, but I wanted you to see my extra nipples.
That is different.
I wanted to actually read directly from Wikipedia the plot for this.
Okay, sure.
It's only one paragraph, all right? So this is the movie Curse of the Swamp Creature.
You're going to read
Deep in the rural swamps of Texas, the reclusive and ruthless wife-abusing mad scientist Dr. Simone Trent is conducting experiments in his laboratory on the local impoverished voodoo-worshipping black quote-unquote natives in an attempt to discover the secret to reversing evolution, feeding the failures to the alligators he keeps in his covered outdoor swimming pool. When a party of oil surveyors comes upon his isolated yet strangely suburban-style home, he decides to take the final step and turn the duplicitous female leader of the expedition into a grotesque and virtually indestructible amphibious fishman so he can take his revenge upon the world. Like, that's perfect, right?
It is.
And I love that they got these strangely suburban because, like, yeah, this movie's called Curse of the Swamp Creature. I posit there is very little swamp in this movie.
No, it's supposed to be in Florida. I don't know if you realize that.
I didn't. No.
I thought I read that they're in Florida.
I like that he has a swimming pool filled with alligators that, like, they show him walking to his covered pool and throwing stuff. Yes. And then they cut to stock footage of, like, obviously a lake full of alligators.
That is the same stock footage every Tarzan. Every time someone gets eaten by an alligator in a whole movie. Same footage.
I feel like that's the same footage from Temple of Doom when Mola Ram falls in. I'm like, I've seen this.
You may be right.
Yeah. Except for, wait, was this movie was black and white, right?
No, it was color.
No, it was color. You're right.
Yep.
Might as well be black and white. Yep. And I have a quote from the director, Larry Buchanan, I want to share with you. Yeah.
I'm going with chill.
This quote's good.
I'm following your lead. Where are we going into?
Buchanan said, quote, "Never make a swamp picture. Your film comes back and it's all ... strange."
I did see that. That.
How great is that?
He's also blaming the swamp. I mean, come on.
I mean, yeah, he's blaming the swamp, which, like, as I said, it's not really in there. There's maybe like one scene that's swamp. Mostly it's suburban house that we're pretending is in swamp, and hotel and swimming pool.
I'm glad we don't have any racial issues to discuss in this movie.
Movie. My second quote, my second thing I wrote after, oh my God, the dubbing is this is casually racist in the way like only a '60s movie could be.
Right.
Problematic racial stuff right off the bat.
So it starts off. If you want me to get to that.
Yeah,
Did you take notes?
I did. I actually took
I can't believe you took notes for this. Our scientist is trying to raise a
I took
fish
notes
man,
this one because I'm like, I'm not going to remember this one. I just learned my mistake with slugs. I'm like, I need to record
There's
something.
some creature in some dry ice. He's trying to call to life, but he dies. And he brings that body to the alligators in his pool. And there's a young guy named Tom who's his student. The scientist, his name is Trent.
Trent.
He's the best actor in the movie. He's just having a ball, I think.
I thought he actually was pretty good. Like, I was surprised he wasn't John. Like, I knew this guy, John Agar, when I flicked on Wikipedia, I had a blue link. I'm like, oh, this must be John Agar. Because John Agar was just a boring hunk of wood. But this scientist guy had he had a little bit of presence.
He was just overacting.
He was aggressively bald, male pattern baldness, not shaved head. He wore green glasses even inside.
He reminded me of Judge Reinhold. If you look at him the way he did. He did.
Okay.
Agar was a piece of wood because he was spending every break writing angry letters to John Wayne.
Was he on that John Wayne movie that they did on the side of the atom bomb test?
No.
Okay.
That's why
he lived. Lucky.
Yeah.
That's why he lived. And then he throws a body into the thing, and then immediately some dude runs out of nowhere and like attacks him and says like,
"Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I'm
looking for my brother, a black man."
Obviously, these people live in the swamp. These other people, African American people. Yep. And he has another man of color who I thought was Indian.
I believe he is.
My film grade was so low.
Might be a Creole.
This film quality was like the Zapruder film. Just I couldn't see the faces in some places.
It was a very multicultural movie in its way.
Yeah.
Not a good way.
Switch to the flying fish. It's a
wait. But after this guy attacks him, says you're just like not. This guy attacks him, says I'm looking for my brother, and they defeat him somehow, and he goes, "You'll be joining him soon enough."
Right. Okay.
And also there was a weird voiceover in the beginning where we saw like this creature in the ice saying, "Free, we're free." And like, what the fuck was that about?
Yeah. I don't remember.
That didn't get picked up on. We see just like a webbed hand. And I'll say this. The webbed hand looked kind of better. The webbed hand looked better than the similar hand in one of the first episodes I was ever on, Marvel's Generation X. There was that one mutant who had like his mutant powers, like he had a shitty glove. This movie from 1960 whatever looked better than that piece of shit.
You know, I don't remember that episode. We watched Generation X with Mikey.
I remember that hand. I remember the bit where like a guy gets a purple nurple and he's stretchy.
Yes.
I remember Jubilee was white. I remember some stuff about that one. There was the fart bit. Remember the whole fart bit?
Yep.
Matt Frewer makes
Check it out, people.
Room full of executives fart. Yeah, it's a good episode. Not a good movie.
A lot of stuff I missed in the woods here at the swamp. Did you see the munchkin hanging from a tree in the background?
Of course, everyone knows. Like you don't have a movie set in a swamp without a couple of dead munchkins hanging about.
So then we meet Brenda is her name. She's in a bar, and there's a man, Mr. West, who's drinking, and Frenchie is the owner.
The bar is at the Fly and Fish, which we mentioned. Fly and Fish, and
Brenda talks to Mr. West, who's drinking. She's like hitting on him. She's like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "I'm just traveling."
And she's a good-looking lady, we should say.
Yeah. She goes, "How do
In
you?"
like that very 60s looking way.
Yeah. He's like, "How do you cure loneliness in 1966 in the swamp?"
Is this a list?
And he does say that, remember?
No.
Oh, she goes, "I know how to cure loneliness."
Uh-huh.
You're so excited.
I'm not. I'm waiting. Just
She
spit out
says-
your list.
She says, "This is how we cure loneliness in the swamp in Texas.
How do you cure loneliness in the swamp in Texas, Tim?
We go over all the nicknames we have for eyeballs in uncertain Texas, like
Eyeballs.
peeping buddies,
Okay.
viewing orbs,
Mm-hmm.
brain windows,
Mm-hmm.
soft cue balls,
Mm-hmm.
non-testicular body balls,
Mm-hmm.
and head balls."
They don't do
That's-
ping pong balls sawed in half with pupils drawn on them, do they?
You got it. That's why I did eyeballs.
I was
The
trying to think
monster's
why I
eyes. At the end of
Spoilers,
this
there's a
movie,
monster in this.
with ping pong ball eyes. Everybody, spoilers again.
So, yep.
So
And then we cut during the scene is happening. We cut to a guy in a room who is just feeling up a mattress. As I wrote in my notes, this guy is feeling up a mattress like he's JD Vance.
oh my
This guy is
gosh,
just rubbing his hands or just grabbing stuff. I'm like, what is this scene? Then
that
we
joke
cut
is 4
back.
months old.
That'll be good forever. Everybody knows
It will
JD
be.
Vance, couch fucker.
Well,
Then we cut back to the bar where the woman is talking to Mr. West, and she goes, she leans in and goes, "What makes you think there's oil back in the swamp?"
I know.
And I'm
freaks
like,
out.
I don't think she said that. This
I
woman's
know.
very bad at her job. He's like, "What? Did I say there was oil in the swamp?" And he runs back to his room. It turns out his room, which is basically, it's such a funny set. It's like all curtain. This room is
It
all
is.
curtain. It's
And
a
the
curtain,
guy is
and
in
this,
there.
this young guy is just feeling up that mattress. He's got like
Well, he opens his
rubber gloves.
briefcase even.
He did.
Yeah.
What was in there? Was it an issue of 1964's Playboy featuring
66
Murky Waters?
Playboy. No, 66 Playboy featuring Wendy Petals.
Wendy Petals. What were her likes and dislikes, Tim?
Her guilty pleasure, drawing
Uh-huh.
pictures of what naked JFK might look like.
That's weird. Years after he's been assassinated, what a strange thing to do.
Well, her favorite book is How to Draw Dead Presidents Naked.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
You walked
All
right
right,
into
what
that,
else?
George.
Yeah,
Banged your head on
shit.
it.
Yeah, whoa, yeah.
Her favorite TV show is
I
The
hope my head doesn't
Hathaways.
explode. The Hathaways. Is that a
about a
real
couple.
TV show?
They
Is
have
that a
3
real?
performing chimps. They have 3
Right.
performing chimps.
I'm
The
looking
chimps
this
would
up to
solve
see if this
crimes
is-
every week. But usually it was just some neighbor. He's like, "My bananas are missing." And the chimps are like, "We better look into this."
Do they ever do ones like,
and
some
they-
mysterious creature pulled my face off?
No.
Oh my
They were
God,
the
this
ones
is a,
that
Tim,
stole
this
all
is
the
a real show.
Bananas.
This was a real show.
Hey, would I lie to you?
Yeah,
Would I
'cause
say
you-
something
well,
that wasn't true?
Yeah, I'm asking you the sugar. Is
Wait,
this
her-
something you
her
watched
biggest-
in your childhood?
I never saw it.
Liar.
Oh, yes,
Why do you
I
know
did.
about it then?
Wait, her biggest turn on? Drawing a model in art class, and her biggest turn off is putting the model back in the coffin when class is over. There you go. So, but that guy's in the room, and you're right, it's full of curtains, and he just stands there. I'm like, why don't you hide behind the curtains? I was saying that to the screen. Hide
Well,
behind
I
the curtains.
think because whatever they were using, there was no. That was the end of the set. There's like, well, we only have enough to make half a wall. Well, I got all these curtains. So the guy runs in, and they have Mr. West runs in. There's this young guy there. This is an extravagant fight. Like Mr.
Yeah.
West is throwing fists like he's fucking. It's like, think of the
He's
most
an oil
over the top
man.
action sequence you've ever seen in a Marvel film, where like a guy's doing like flips through the air and doing
Really?
kicks
It
and
was
shit.
that? Is that what you
did
saw?
you notice? No, his punches were so ridiculous, like the
I
wind up.
know.
It was, and then I don't know what really. I just wrote wild punches.
He
and
ate
then,
that can of spinach too halfway through. It was outrageous.
And then his tattoo turned into a couch, and the JD Vance grabbed it and started making sweet love to his arm. This is a part I don't understand what happened. They're tussling after he's been beating up the young guy, Mr. West, and suddenly Mr. West just dies.
Oh no, the kid pulled out a knife. That's why I was like, there's stabbings, but no blood. He stabbed him right in the stomach.
He did say, okay, because
Right
I
in
wrote,
the
did he
gut.
stab him?
Yeah, he
And
did.
he goes, and when he said, and then he says, as he stands over the bloodless corpse of Mr. West, the young kid goes, you shouldn't have roughed me up. I don't play games. It's a good movie, everybody.
Ahead of his time. It was.
Yep.
Should have said, I don't play them games.
So then he calls on the phone. Yeah.
Brenda. It's a honey trap. They were working together. Yeah. She was distracting him so he could look through the room.
It's a honey trap, doll. You divvy what I'm saying here. And also the bartender was in it too.
He's in on it. Frenchie. It's right in the name, George. Frenchie. Right. Can't trust those French. It's right in his name.
Wow. Don't we have a lot of French listeners?
No, England more.
All right. So
more
now
UK.
Okay, but we always insult the UK too, though.
I know.
We already lost all our Texas listeners. So they decide. Well, they discover that West is going to be meeting so West is looking for oil in the swamps, and he's going to be meeting a geologist named Rogers. And they're like, "What do we do about this?" And then the lady Brenda's like, "Don't I look like Mrs. West?" Yeah. So instead of like one of the other guys just pretending to be West, they pretend that West is sick and his wife couldn't come. So she pretends to be.
You skipped a part.
I did.
They took Mr. West, put him in the trunk of a car, just like JFK does with a beer. Oh man, just like RFK does with a beer or a bear. That joke's 4 months old.
That's
RFK.
RFK Jr. RFK Jr.
Jr.
No, I'm thinking the guy who got assassinated by Sirhan. Tim.
No. He's called RFK. Wait. Robert F. Kennedy.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's the son of Robert F. Kennedy.
What's his name? I thought it was RFK. RFK, the guy who put a bear in his trunk.
Yeah, RFK Jr.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, you don't say JFK is the guy who died crashing his plane. No, you distinguish between the son and the father.
On the news, they're not saying Junior, George. They're not.
I'm passing a new law. For the rest of the episode, you're not allowed to mention any Kennedys.
Okay, unless so much for this joke. They put the body in the swamp and they cut him up, I think. Let's just say that.
Yeah. There's a thing. It's called a. I wrote it down somewhere.
JFK does with his ex-girlfriends.
You could have actually gone with a Ted Kennedy thing, what he did in Chappaquiddick.
I messed up my Kennedys.
Yeah, you're bad at this. Oh, yeah, they call a fourth accomplice named Rabbit who has a
Rabbit.
Yeah, and
don't call him Stupid. That's all he.
No, Stupid. I thought Stupid was the guy that was in the Stupid was the guy that was in the room.
Yeah, my film
they all
quality
call him Stupid
so
too.
Bad.
Yeah. I will say Rabbit and the guy in the room look very similar. They're both just kind of brown-haired dudes.
And they're both stupid.
They have a special a stump destroying machine they use to dredge the swamp, and they put the guy's body into it.
I think they cut him up, right?
Yeah, but they don't show
it because it's TV.
Yeah. They show him very slowly dragging his body towards this thing, and then they cut away.
They cut away, and then they go back, and there's a bunch of meat floating around in the swamp. And
they don't even show that.
I know.
The next scene we do see is crazy. We're looking once again at the Flying Fish, the hotel/bar that we previously saw, and a small airplane just pulls up in front of it. I'm like,
I know,
what?
That was amazing.
In the parking lot. So it turns out they don't really ever establish this, but the Flying Fish there is a small local airport there in real life, and that is like the bar at the actual airport. But up until this point, I don't think there was any evidence that this was part. So just to see an airplane pull up to this bar was kind of
weird.
Yeah.
It's an airplane. It's an airport bar. It was the prototype of Cheers. I think they stole the idea from this.
Yep. And then Mr. Rogers walks in. Everybody yells, "Norm!"
Yes.
Yep. And he's immediately, because it's the 60s, he starts smoking and drinking. And
she introduced herself as Mrs. West, and he's all like...
Well, Frenchie first tells him that there's a woman, and he's like, "A woman? This is the weirdest trip I've ever been on."
A dame, an oil dame,
abroad. Yeah, he can't believe, so she comes up and explains her husband is busy with other work, and he's like, "All right, well, you are a woman, so you're probably not even able to walk upright and chew gum and stuff. So we're going to go into the swamp. Did you bring clothes for us?" She's like, "I got it handled, dumb shit." So at this point, I'm like, I think this is one of those movies where I'm not going to like any character.
Nope.
Because we have the mad scientist. We haven't seen how he ties anything, but he's feeding people to alligators.
Yes.
We have the lady who she killed Mr. West or she was part of it. And then this guy, Mr. Rogers, comes, and unlike the other Mr. Rogers, who was a delightful figure who had his own neighborhood, this Mr. Rogers is a sexist piece of shit. So I'm like, oh, and then there's like various guys who have brown hair. I don't know who they are. And then there's Frenchie. He's crooked. It all sucks.
And they just...
Also, no swamp creatures yet. Just want to say that.
And this is the best part of the movie, because I was having fun with the hotel, people stabbing each other. I knew it was going to be downhill, because then we get 20 minutes of them traveling through the swamp to look for their oil. And like they go get their boat and they start talking like, I hear someone's out there. I hear there's mighty strange things going on in the swamp.
Footage of a woman goes running out of a house into another house. And then a man comes running out of that house and he runs to a log and he has a stick and he starts banging on the stick with the log with a stick. And then another guy some distance later starts bounding. And
you skipped the whole walk through the woods, which I'm fine with. I just want to know where we are, because they rode the boat through the woods for 20 minutes. Then they got out of the boat and said, now we got to walk. And that was another 20 minutes.
I thought the swamp drum people were on their boat, so I apologize. But yeah, and if you missed that bit of footage the first time, they show that entire sequence in totality later. The exact same footage of the woman running out of this house into another house, the guy running out.
But George, as far as mighty strange things going on in the swamp, well, you want to know one of the strangest things that goes on in the swamp?
What goes on in the swamp that's weird?
People coming up with strange nicknames for their shoes.
Oh, shoes now.
They call them, in the swamp, they call them traveling leathers, or foot prisons, toe hiders.
Oh, I wish you wore one of those.
Hamburger helpers.
It's weird.
Bunion wrappers.
Bunion wrappers, that's good.
And the worst one, secondhand vagina. So that's what goes on in the swamp.
J.D. Vance strikes again. I'm trying to read. Guy, food, something, people, part with Tom. Has something into a pool cut with...
Tom is the student. He's like, I'm done with this. I want to go out and buy the new Beatles album. And he's like, you are a very unworthy student. That's how he talks.
Oh, right? So yeah, what Tim is saying with using a surplus of pronouns and not actually explaining the characters. Tom is the medical student to the evil doctor who we've seen now. And actually, we do learn that the drumming scene we see, it's to alert them that somebody's entered the swamp. They're like, oh, your drumming method. So these people apparently are working for the doctor, although they're not later. And he's like, well, they'll make sure they don't come here. And Tom is like saying, I'm having trouble with this doctor. We keep turning people into monsters and then feeding them to alligators. And he's being all like a dick about it.
Well, Trent's like, you are very unappreciative of all the help I've given you.
We still don't know what's going on at this point,
right?
too. Yeah,
like,
he
just
does.
like
Judd Nelson?
Yeah. Just like Judd Nelson. That's how he sounds. You're very uncooperative, Tom. I think you should go to your room.
He throws a body in with the alligators again. Again, he walks to this covered pool. And then, that's what I wrote. He wrecks to a covered pool, opens the door, throws in like a body. And then we cut to the stock footage of hundreds of alligators in a swamp and a lake somewhere ripping apart sacks. And we're like, I'm supposed to believe that's in that pool? All those alligators are right there in that pool. I'm supposed to believe that? And then he looks up and there's like a lizard walking on the outside of the cover and he smiles.
Yeah, what was that?
I thought
because he wants to turn people back into alligators.
To lizards.
Lizards. Or he thinks they're related.
Is that one of his possible experiments that worked? Like, was that once a person?
Oh, you're looking way too deep into this movie.
Maybe.
Had nothing.
No.
Wow. Thank you, George. You blew my mind.
Well, I just, as I'm watching these things, I'm writing notes. I sometimes record things that I think are going to have more importance than they do. And them smiling at a lizard, I thought was going to be more important. It doesn't resolve into anything.
And what you're writing is poetry, George. What you're writing is poetry.
That's true. I'm a poet.
And they made an interesting choice from here on with the music, I want to point out.
Oh, I don't remember it.
Oh, you don't? They never stopped playing that drum music the rest of the movie.
That's because they entered the swamp and those guys are playing the drum thing the whole time.
It never ends.
Wow. That's actually kind of cool.
That you didn't notice it. Yeah,
I didn't.
You should consult your doctor.
We do see at some point there's some notes I can't read. We see the assistant again. He's showing some bit of surgery he did to the doctor. He's like, did I master it? And the doctor's like, that gill transplant is as good as I could have done.
Yeah. Tom's good.
So Tom is helping him do his thing. Is this
So
when we
can I-
learn yet what's happening?
Can I go and buy the new Beatles album yet?
He goes, no, you
Tom's-
have to buy Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. There's a woman who's nude but covered with shaving cream. If you could get away from that little bowl-cutted kid who's staring at it.
And bring some tracing paper, because I would like to trace her and draw the naughty bits that you can't see.
This is what you did, isn't it?
No.
When you were little,
did
you
not.
were like, over here's where the boobies would be. And your
I
mom
didn't
would
have
come in, she's
tracing
like,
paper.
you just use paper.
Tracing paper
Your
was like...
your mom walked in, she's like, little Timmy Hamilton, you better put some clothing on that drawing.
Tracing paper wasn't invented yet.
That's probably true. Was
I
paper
wasn't-
invented when you were a child? You're still using papyrus
Yes,
sheaths.
I wanted to go to the store and buy some, but my mom's like, no, you'll get run over by the trolley car.
Oh, Tim, thank you for saying that. I forgot to mention a
Oh,
bit of my research.
My
Yep,
God. I'm sure there's
Yep.
trolleys in Texas.
there is. There is. Do you want to know when?
How early was the first trolley in Texas? I would say, because it's a later state, they didn't invent electricity there until about 1901.
I like that they invented
1901.
it. 1901. First streetcar was in 1872 in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And the first elevator, I love this. Nobody really knows. Sometime in the early 1880s in the Capitol House in Houston.
Nice.
They're not
Nobody
really sure
knows
when.
this. What do you mean? Oh, nobody knows when.
They're not really sure when exactly. Like
Another
sometime-
one, like you were upset last week, it was built without any
No
regulations,
code.
probably.
Yeah. It's in these
It
states.
went up in the
they
air
just
on rockets.
ramshackle is the word.
They
Although
lit
the
rockets.
elevator was the elevator was steam powered actually, which is
Oh,
terrifying.
Again, yes.
Yeah. All right, back to the movie.
They let chickens ride it. So the whole thing is this scientist hears these people are coming and he wonders whether he should hide or invite them. And eventually he's like, we should invite them in.
Well, he first thinks they're not going to get there
Yeah.
because he's so deep in the swamps, even though he definitely has like a suburban house.
Because they mentioned quicksand. I'm like, okay, someone's going to go into quicksand and die.
that is true.
They
Yep.
mentioned it like twice. Look out for the quicksand, Tom.
There's a weird scene of him talking to the thing that Tom put gills on, and he says, "Get up, the world awaits you, and you as my first citizen." And then
Yes,
it
I know.
dies. So it didn't
It
work.
took one look. It's like, no.
So once again, a shot of him carrying a body to the alligators.
And did you see him when he fed him? He gave him like a turtle in a shell. And you the gill creature, he did. You not see that?
I did notice that.
That's what he fed it. And it goes crunch,
Really?
crunch, crunch. Like, why did you give it a turtle?
That's mean.
And I realized why it gave him a turtle.
Is
You know why? Because that gill man, he doesn't like fast food.
Leaving the podcast.
But that was real. It's like crunch, crunch. Anyway.
So what happens?
He tells his wife, get the place ready. We may have visitors, because his wife has been out there forever alone. She's like, oh my God, people are coming. I'm so lonely. Because he hates her. He treats her badly.
This is the first time we've met her, right?
Yeah, I don't even remember her name. Can I call her Annie?
Yeah. Let's look it up. She
She is so lonely. She just wants to know how the JFK presidency is going. Broke your rule. She's so lonely. She hasn't been out in the world. She wants to know if the Beatles are still popular, especially that hunky drummer, Pete Best. And you know what, George? She wants to know if the Hulk ever rejoined the Avengers after issue 2, because he got mad at them and joined forces with the Submariner. And she's like, did he ever come back and join the Avengers? What's that?
Her name is Pat. I looked it up.
Pat. Okay. I threw you a comics bone.
Yep, thank you. It was the only one I appreciated.
Not that you didn't appreciate that?
It's the only one I appreciated.
Uh-oh.
I hate
Those
the
are-
Kennedys, and now I hate the Beatles too. You've made me you've introduced hate into my world.
Those are some of my favorite comics, Avengers 1-6. Because every issue is like, this not working. Let's get rid of the Hulk. This isn't working. Let's make Ant-Man Giant Man. And how about we discover Captain America? And how about
And let's fight, and we fight Namor every issue
yes.
because they had
My favorite
8
issues.
characters.
Comics Corner.
Let's see what else. Comics Corner. We
Play
should
my
make a
theme
theme
song.
song for that. Comics Corner. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I mean, it gets to be me just chanting Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight.
So they come to the
so-
house, and the only weird thing they say is, this place is crazy. You see that fan in the ceiling? Did you hear him say that? I'm like, why is that crazy? A fan. You're in Florida.
Well, there's hints that there's hint the technology's weird because he's bragging about he has a shower. It's like it's the only shower for miles and miles.
I have that. He's like 3 times. He's like, lady.
They keep talking about it. Yeah. I think he just has a peephole in there. He wants to see the.
I think so too.
Just to remind people, we're dealing with. So it's the mad scientist, his assistant Tony, his wife Pat. Pat maybe has something wrong with her. And the people showing up, it's Mr. Rogers, the geologist, Mrs. West, who's really Brenda from the murder thing.
Yes.
Frenchie's not there, but the other guy who is named Stupid was. And there's another guy who looks just like the stupid guy named Rabbit.
Yes. Yep.
So that's everybody.
She was really into her act. I believed her. She took improv classes.
Which one?
In the movie, Brenda. She's like, I got to nail this part. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, she was kind of like the only interesting and good character in the movie. Well, the mad scientist too.
So
he's all like, yeah, she's like, you have a guest room here. You got to spend the night. He tells them, he talks about like, he says to the geologist, you and I have a lot in common. You deal with the after effects of evolution, and I study the active evolution. I'm like, you are really stretching there, buddy.
Yes, I know.
And he kind of explains, he says that he thinks people are descended from lizards, which on a long enough scale, yes. But it's not really a direct line. There's a lot of stages in between. You have to go back. Tim, you'd have to go back before the dinosaurs to find a common ancestor. Why?
Yeah.
But that's his thing. He reveals he's moving stuff up and down the evolutionary scale.
He's hiding out there from the Smithsonian. Because he's on to
He's hiding up from the Smithsonian because, he's like, I keep making these giants with horns on their heads, and then they disappear the next day.
And the other oil guy, West, he was like, who said I'm looking for oil? And he freaked out. When they show up at his house, Agar or Mr. Rogers says, well, we're looking for oil.
They do. Also, I did make me think, like, okay, you are like 3 petty criminals. What are you going to do if you find oil in the fucking swamp?
They said they're going to make a lot of money. I heard her say that. You can fill
up with jugs and sell it at the gas station? These guys don't have the wherewithal to, like, this is an oil company you're messing with.
They saw an episode of Beverly Hillbillies, and they knew how this worked. That was their exact plan.
I mean, I guess that was their thing. They were going to buy it.
Beverly Hills. Yep. Big mansion.
Oh, so, yeah. So he said it's the only...
named Jethro. I don't know.
Let's talk more about old shows nobody's seen. Tell us more about the Hathaways, Tim. Tell us about the monkeys.
Those monkeys were out of hand.
Yep.
One day, usually bananas are missing. One time, some kid's ant farm was missing. And it turned out a guy down the street had bought a pet aardvark. Solved that crime. So there you go. What?
I want everyone to know Tim is looking at me wondering why I'm not laughing, not realizing the problem might result in the quality of the jokes. This is a line
Another guy shows up. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, there's nothing important that happens after this, but...
Well, they decide they're going to spend the night, and 2 of the
shower.
Guys are like, she's like the only shower for 50 miles.
And he describes in detail, Brenda will have a room, and you men will have cots out here in the living room.
Sleeping cots out here, yeah. And then we cut with the men, who it's Mr. Rogers and some other guy. Oh, no, I think it's Rabbit and the stupid guy. And one of them goes, doctor has a cute wife. And the other guy goes, I noticed. And the other guy goes, I noticed you noticed. And in my head, I'm like, would it be great? Like, I can picture it. And then the guy would say, I noticed you noticed, I noticed. I noticed you noticed, I noticed you noticed. So
he probably did that.
And
the wife tells Mr. Rogers, I don't know if it happens here, but she's like, my husband, he's a bit crazy. Can't you tell? Please help me. And he's like, oh, you're just an overacting woman, like all these old movies.
Yeah, I also wrote here, this isn't accurate. Wife kills assistant Tom, maybe?
He does die.
Yeah, because during the scene, Tom, it turns out, I forgot, there was a scene, the guy who had done the gill implant, but the monster died anyway. Yeah. The doctor anesthetized him and goes, now you'll have a use around here. And he's turning him into a monster.
Yes.
The wife discovers him inside of his tank. You don't see it, but you see he's got a webbed hand, and she turns it off and kills him.
She turns the knob down up to 11. Yeah.
Up to 11, yep. And he dies.
These creatures were always in dry ice because they obviously didn't want to put anybody in makeup. They just had one hand, just like Generation X.
The hand looks better, though. I'll say the hand looked better than Generation X. While this is all happening, too, we should mention that we are interspersed with it's a scene of the to use the nomenclature of the Wikipedia entry, a bunch of the black quote unquote natives are doing what probably is meant to be some sort of voodoo dance.
Yes.
There's people, they say and two of the guys are watching this happening.
Well, you're getting ahead of yourself.
No, because that's going on for so long. It was I was amused because two guys are watching this, whereas days seem to pass in the rest of the thing. These two dudes are watching these people do what is called a snake dance.
It's Tracker. The Tracker is a guy who works for Trent, and Tracker says,
"Oh, you're right.
We can't watch them. If they see us, it will be bad." And Rabbit's like, "Okay, let's go watch."
Yep,
that was. And they watched for a long time.
I watched for like literally days, and Tracker's like, when they're doing this, it's serious business, and he gets the fuck out.
He does.
And the two white guys sit there watching this for like, it's seriously got to be at least 2 days.
I was waiting, like, when are you going to get caught? Come on. I still thought that's what was going to happen.
The lady who's dancing is the woman who we see in multiple times running out of the house to another house where the guy bangs on it. So
Mara.
These people, is that her? Oh, she had a name?
I looked her up, Mara. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, they didn't give her any lines of dialogue. That was weird.
I think she was supposed to be deaf. She did sign language. Did you not catch that?
I didn't. That's interesting. I just thought they didn't want to pay her a speaking.
Probably that too.
Yeah.
But you're saying Rabbit chased her, basically tried to rape her. Is that where you're going?
Not right away, but after the snake dance goes on. So the snake dance, it's like this ritual where it's like they have an effigy of the doctor with arrows stuck into him and stuff. So like you're learning these dudes are turning against him. There was also a scene, I forgot to mention this, where I guess the father of the dude who showed up like, "Where's my brother?" He shows up and he's like, "You took my son." And he's like, "Get out of here." Yeah. He puts like a stick with a snake on it. They turn against him. Basically, the people who live nearby are going to kill the doctor.
Because he's basically been taking their people and trying to turn them into gillmen. I think that's what's
turn them to gill.
Yeah. But after
Rabbit
the wife lets Tom die, he slaps her up. He's very abusive, locks her in the room.
Smacks her. Locks her in the room.
He says, "You're too young to understand what's going on." You want to know how young she is?
How young is she, Tim?
She's so young. Anthony Kiedis wants to travel back in time and ask her out.
I like that you pronounce his name Kiedis instead of Anthony Kiedis, but yeah, good for it.
Anthony Kiedis?
Anthony Kiedis, lead singer of Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's like 90 and he's dating a 20-year-old. Look it up, folks.
She's so young. Woody Allen wants to adopt her.
Oh, Woody Allen. That's another one. Oh, who else?
She's so young. Roman Polanski won't date her until she gets braces. There you go.
All right. She's so young. JD Vance is wondering why she hasn't had 6 kids already. How's that?
Oh, good.
How's that? Yeah.
She's so young. She doesn't look like a couch yet. That doesn't make sense. I don't know what that means.
Well, Tim, when we hang outside of the podcast, you always tell me, "I tell you, George, any woman above 24, she might as well be a couch to me. Yes, I got no use for her."
I know. Don't tell people I say that.
Then he takes a swig of cheap whiskey and spits it out.
So
Rabbit chases the lady. I will say she's a very attractive young woman. Mm-hmm. He says, "Be good, baby. No one here but us chickens." And she runs away, and he chases after her, and he gets closer, and she shoves him into the water, and then it turns out it's quicksand, and he dies. Yep. And as he's dying, going down, because this is he is smiling broadly. And it's such bad dubbing.
I won't hurt you.
Like he must have been giggling really, and like they just dubbed in like it doesn't match his smiling face at all. He's going, "Help me, please! It's quicksand. It's quicksand." Over and over again.
I won't be mean to you.
Yep. But he dies.
And she laughs.
And at this point, I'm like, this movie's been going on for a long time. And I look and I'm like, yeah, we only have 15 minutes left of this hour and a half movie. We still don't really have any sort of swamp creature action.
Hour 20.
Well, I'm glad I mentioned that.
Hour 20.
Oh, hour 20. All right. So it was even worse. So we cut back to the house. Mr. Rogers has broken the wife out of the room she's locked into. They're confronting the doctor, but then the doctor realizes his assistant's like, the people are coming to get us. And outside there's just like all the locals with guns and they're going to kill the doctor. So he's like, I know what I'll do. Yeah. He takes the lady, Brenda, who's been asleep, and he goes, I realize that this will work immediately on you. He instantaneously, apparently, turns her into a fish monster.
Injects her.
And we finally get a view of what one of these things looks like. So this attractive brunette woman, I'd say in her 30s, maybe before, is instantly transformed into what appears to be an oversized, kind of doughy Caucasian guy, bald, with two ping pong balls cut in half over his eyes, fangs, pointy ears. He looks. There's nothing about this that would indicate this was supposed to be the woman.
The creature.
There's nothing the same.
In Bog, a movie we watched, was better than this creature. This is like H.R. Puffin stuff, almost. Just put a few more frills.
No, it's not even that. It's not even that ornate. It's just like it's wearing
a
white.
It would be happy.
It's not even wearing the same fucking clothes as her. Like you could have or given the wig. Like it's like if there's nothing, if they don't specifically say in the dialogue, it's Brenda. You would have no idea because there's nothing. It's so clearly another person.
Yep.
And so he makes the monster go out to fight the people, and then Dr. Rogers, and the people are sitting with guns. They're like, although there was dialogue indicating these fishmen are maybe bulletproof.
They do shoot Rabbit, the other guy. Was it Rabbit? They shoot the other guy.
You're right. They do shoot one of the guys. And
we never see windows in this house except this scene where the doctor looks out the window like, ooh, they're coming to get me, Barbara. That's her name, Barbara.
And then Barbara. Oh, you're right.
Oh, Brenda. Sorry. They're
Brenda.
coming to get me, Brenda.
Yeah.
Right,
and so he's sending this monster out, and the people are watching. There's like 20 of these people with guns. I'm pretty sure they would take down the stupid monster.
Yeah.
His eyes are just giant targets. But Mr. Rogers and the wife are yelling, Brenda, look what it did to you. You were a beautiful woman. Now you're like this old white guy with bald and green paint on your face. And
how do they know?
The actor that's supposed to be Brenda looks down at its webbed hands. He's like, oh, and picks up the doctor. And again, the dubbing's terrible. The doctor's like, no, put me down. But he's not screaming that really. Who knows he's screaming? And wouldn't you know it, throws him into the alligators.
Oh. He says, no, strike me down. I shall rise up more powerful. Something like that.
Yep. Good. Were you doing the Emperor?
Yes.
Can you do the Emperor? If you're gonna make that joke, commit to it.
I can't remember his voice.
Strike me down, and I would become more powerful than you could ever imagine. Just chew the scenery, Tim.
Yeah.
And then after the monster throws the doctor into the alligators, it just kind of slowly falls forward into there, and I guess he gets eaten too.
I guess so. That's what we're to assume.
Yep.
Unless you have a sequel.
And the movie ends with a shot of the airplane flying away.
Well, Rogers and the woman, the wife, it's hit him. And they're getting in an airplane. Mm-hmm. Her name was Pat.
Yep.
The guy gets the girl.
The Rogers gets Pat, I guess. The doctor gets eaten by alligators. Brenda gets turned into a monster, and she gets eaten by alligators. The people in the area have revenge, I guess.
We'll get to that. Is that where we're going to already?
Yeah, I guess.
Wherever you are, wherever you're hiding, I'll find you.
Revenge.
One of us will die. One of us will die.
So who from this movie would have all their clothes fall off while meeting the Queen of England? And I got to say, this is a hard one. Brenda. Which one is Brenda?
She's the woman who gets turned into a monster. Yep.
You think she swam to England? She got out of that pool?
The dialogue tells us that these monsters are virtually indestructible. Mm-hmm. Also, it's part alligator already, so I think it falls in there, and they're like, "Hey, you're one of us." And she's like, "Well, okay." She hangs around there for a while, waiting for alligators to eat her. They don't. She feels awkward. She gets on the plane with them. She goes to England. She becomes a celebrity.
Didn't she swim there? But okay. She becomes a celebrity.
Everyone's like, "Oh, come see the fish crocodile lady." She starts dating ex-Beatle Pete Best. Yep.
Okay. Maybe
she does
she becomes. I'm just helping you. If you don't want help, raise your hand.
I don't need. Well, let's hear your help.
Becomes a celebrity because people think she's a mascot for the rugby team or the football team.
Which
Liverpool.
team? Which
Liverpool?
Liverpool. Because she lives in a pool.
Yeah. And they just think she's a mascot.
She meets the Queen's like, "Oh heavens! I've heard so much about you. Might I see where your gills are?" And that's when she drops all her clothes.
What clothes, though? Was she just wearing one little piece of underwear? Oh, did she have clothes on in the end of the movie? I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay. She was wearing like a white shirt. That's what was so funny.
That's how they recognized her, that white shirt.
Clothes. No, that wasn't what Brenda was wearing. That's what I'm saying. She was just, it was just a fucking outfit.
They saw the mustard stain she got in there when they ate hot dogs with mustard the night before. Like,
that's embarrassing. Anyway, the Queen scopes her out top to bottom naked and realizes, "Oh, you have a penis," because it's just obviously a guy. Just all. But she kills the Queen.
But But
the queen
she
is
kills
dead.
the queen.
Yeah.
That's sad.
It is. Well, is it? She picks her up, throws her into a pot. She throws her in a pit of corgis, and they eat her alive.
She says, "Suck on that, you suckers." That's the movie mixtape catchphrase. Shout out to movie. Yep.
Shout out to Movie Mixtape. I knew that because I listened to all their episodes. They're great. They advertise on us occasionally. Movie Mixtape. You rock.
And don't forget to shop at Needle Drop Records.
Oh, you just
Give me.
go do your story. Do your story.
But you'll be glad, George. Wait.
Yep.
I did a good job. You want short stories? Here we go.
Yep. Okay.
We see Mr. Rogers fly off in the next movie, but minutes later, his plane blows up. Frenchie at the bar, he was around. He didn't want him telling his tale and ratting out the people. Frenchie put a bomb in his luggage. And
question, Tim.
Yeah.
Given that this was sometime in the 60s, how was Frenchie aware what was happening?
Well, he came back and heard this tale. He told him at the bar. It's a place where everybody knows your name. It's a bar. Everybody knows everything.
It's a bar. Oh, so this is out. He lands back at the Flying Fish.
Brenda died with
then he flies off again.
Mustard stain on her shirt.
It's embarrassing for her. I sure hope she killed the Queen of England on the way.
Yes.
Yep.
So thus, but there was a federal man. I think you left this out. At the end of the movie, he's telling a federal man, yeah, we're going to look into this. So he kills him too.
That may be true. That may not be. I don't know.
So a week later, George, a plane flies right up to the Flying Fish, just like we saw in that movie. It's an airport. And out steps a 70-year young old Dick Cheney. Oil man. Those were his oil men he sent down here. He's going to find out what happened to him. So he ties up Frenchie, asks him where his friends are, and after he breaks...
Does he shoot him with a bird shotgun?
Yep. He says, apologize. Apologize.
I'm sorry you shot me in the face. I'm sorry.
Apologize. He talks like Batman back then. Apologize. I can't do Batman's voice.
That was pretty good, Tim. It's me, Dick Cheney. I have a question.
So, yeah?
Was his name originally Bruce Cheney, but then one day he's looking for someone to strike fear into the heart of people? He turned on the Batman TV show and saw Dick Grayson. He was like, my name is Dick Cheney now. Okay.
Yes.
You thought it was going to go with the penis
Makes
joke,
no sense.
You?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That does connect.
Yep, it all connects, Tim.
I'm sorry. I'm so critical.
Let's talk about comics instead.
Wait, but he ties up Frenchie.
Who inked those first few issues of Avengers?
Chick Stone, I think.
Was it really? Chick Stone. Good inker. Not one of Kirby's, not one of your go-to inkers you think of, but he does a good job. Yeah.
This story's so short. You're going to be mad.
Tim, who's your favorite member of Alpha
This would have been a 2-minute story. Guardian.
Right.
When he's dead.
Oh, okay.
So he ties up Frenchie, asks where his friends are, and he tells them. And so now, an angry Dick Cheney, he wants revenge. He says, burn the place to the ground, but save a few hearts for me for when I need replacement parts. So they burn the whole place down. He says, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. And there's a young Francis Ford Coppola camping nearby who lived through this all, and he heard that and he said, I'm going to make a whole movie built around that line. And Dick Cheney flies off, becomes vice president, and that's the end. He got his revenge. See, short.
Is there
George?
a connection? Is there a connection between Francis and Frenchie?
No.
Francis Ford Coppola and Frenchie? No. Oh, okay.
Frenchie. Oh well, Frenchie's last name was Ford Coppola. Maybe.
Frenchie, France, French. Get what I'm saying here?
I know. And I'm saying
if
Frenchie's last name
Francis
was
Ford
Coppola.
And you're listening. Yeah. It's good.
It is.
Yeah. I said it was good. Why do you disagree with me?
So it's your story.
My story. I was actually
Batman villain.
Well, you're. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, because I was like, who was the wronged party here and lived? I'm like, the only one I could think of. All right, so start my music. All right.
Here it goes.
Yeah, so a lot of people end up dead in this movie. Most of the bad guys end up dead. The only one who could feasibly survive, it's Brenda herself, the fish monster.
Right.
Or
that's what I thought.
Alligator monster, yeah. She's in there with the alligator. She's trying to get eaten. She's like, this isn't working. She doesn't go to England in this universe. She travels up north. She follows the sewers to Gotham City. And there she meets,
let's say,
Killer Croc. And the two of them fall in love.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's no revenge. They have babies.
Oh, there's revenge eventually. Batman's going to beat them up for something.
Batman beats him up
for having babies. It's like, who
for
said you
having
could have
babies?
babies?
Don't you know your scaly skin needs to be eliminated from the gym pool? And he kicks Killer Croc in the nuts so hard he goes sterile, and they can't have babies.
Wow.
Yeah, and then she leaves him and she moves to New York and she dates the Lizard.
Nice.
Yep.
When he's a lizard or when he's Dr. Connors?
Oh,
When
when
do
he's
they
a lizard,
meet?
when he's a Dr. Connors, he's with Martha or Brenda,
Okay.
whatever the fuck her name is, his wife.
Good one.
And she's ableist.
We're
She
still
doesn't like
going.
guys with one arm. So those of you know,
Ooh.
the lizard has one arm when he's human. Yeah,
Because he got
when
run
he's a
over by a
lizard,
trolley
she's like-
car.
because he got run over by a trolley car. And
Amazing.
yep. And then she and the lizard have babies, and the babies are tadpoles. What will those babies become?
One-armed
Who the
frogs.
fuck knows? Future episode of SEDDY Bimco will answer that. Maybe he'll also tell us what happened to famed Batman villain Wormface. I'm so tired.
Poor George. And
This
George, you watched the new
episode-
Batman show. We can talk about geeky stuff, but you only watched the first one?
Yeah, I didn't care for it at all.
Okay. I didn't love the first one, but then I'm like, I'm into it. It's alternate universe, 1940s film noir Batman. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll try it out.
There's stuff I should have liked. You know what? I watched this expecting it to be like an X-Men 97, and it was more like it wasn't. It wasn't to that level. And like, you know,
Well, the stories start to interact as you go on. So
yeah. The first one was just the first episode was just kind of silly. I like that the Penguin is a lady, a burlesque performer.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was utterly ridiculous that her big modus operandi is she has a fucking artillery shell floating off the shore of Gotham as she blows up building. I'm like, that's your fucking master plan?
yeah, what was the point of that? I think it was revenge, right? They weren't paying the ransom.
No, the opening scene was like Batman was like busting up a criminal enterprise and the building blows up. And I kind of forgot that part. And then I'm like, they bring it in like the last 5 minutes. Like, yeah, she has her boat that she does her burlesque shows on. The umbrella on it is actually a cannon in disguise. And she rains artillery shells in Gotham. Like, nobody fucking... I'm just saying, if there's a boat in New York Harbor and it's
George.
like shooting police stations, I think we'd figure out pretty soon what was happening. Batman's the world's greatest detective, more like the world's greatest defective. He didn't figure that out. Come on.
This is early Batman. Later on, he gets hit in the head, and he's like, "Ooh, I need some cushioning."
I have to talk like this now.
He has no gadgets except his gun the whole time. I'm like, "Come on, you need more
doesn't even have-
gadgets."
Yeah, he doesn't even have good gloves.
He's going to get gadgets next season. Oh, he's got
And-
the old gloves.
and-
Yes, these gloves fall off
and-
all the time.
Yep.
They
And
fall
totally
right into a
geeky, like-
couch. They fall into a couch, and then JD Vance shows up. He's like, "What are you
Vance
doing here?"
I love your glove. And I'm just going to mention this is totally geekiness. Harvey Dent looks exactly like John Romita Spider-Man.
Yep,
Peter Parker.
Peter Parker.
I don't know how that's even acceptable.
I said that to my wife, and she just stared at me.
I said that to my wife, and she also stared at me. So, yeah. And then I looked
What's
on her
wrong with
phone. Well, she was on her phone. She was looking up how to get a divorce. I was like, ooh.
Not as good as the first 6 issues of Avengers.
Nope. But what is?
Where do they find Captain America? Issue 4 or 5?
I want to say 5.
Okay. And instantly he's in charge. That'd make sense.
Yep.
It's like, I'm taking over.
Yep.
You idiots.
Well, because I mean,
Who
look
was
at
the leader
Avengers at
first?
this point.
Who was the leader before him?
Thor?
No, I don't think Thor was ever the leader of the
I
Avengers.
think he's the leader. I think he is.
I think Iron Man must have been.
No, I think Iron Man was too busy drinking.
Not back then.
He was. You don't become an alcoholic overnight. He was working that for years.
Our one listener,
Let's
Kevin
end this.
Cablasto, if you know who was the leader of the Avengers before Captain America,
Did you call him our one listener?
write in. Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Do
let
we
me
have
check
an
the
email, Tim?
Where is
Yeah.
that page? I will refresh. Nope. Just an
Nope,
email
no mail.
about how embracing your emotions will accelerate your career.
Well, that's good to know.
I should read that. I thought holding in your emotions accelerated your career.
I thought
pushes
holding
you
in
forward.
your bowel movements held in your career.
That's related.
Yep.
That's related.
You want to know what movie we're doing next, Tim?
Yeah, I do.
Yep.
So we can
too
get outta
bad.
here.
I'm not going to fucking tell you. What do you think of that? Well,
What state?
it's going to be the state of Indiana.
Cool.
Yeah,
I love Indiana. Go Hoosiers.
The movie is Indiana Jones.
Is not.
They didn't film that in Indiana. No, this movie, I'm pretty excited. It's available on Tubi. It's Beware of the Clowns with a K.
Beware of the Clowns with a K? What year?
It's a good question, Tim. Let me look it up. I'll tell you this. This movie does not have a Wikipedia entry. 2015.
Ooh, that is current.
Yeah, there's not a lot of choices for Indiana.
I get it.
You are doing Idaho, right? I skipped over Idaho.
I still got something. Yeah. Sorry.
You should do that one next.
I'll do it next.
Beware of the Clowns is a feature-length horror comedy and exploitation film about murderous clowns in a small town.
I came across this one, I think.
Yeah, it's short. It's only a little bit over an hour, which helps.
Okay.
Yep. The top running cast, the top listed cast, is a pie victim. So it's going to be good.
Wow. I don't know about that, George, but.
Yep. Danny Jabber, that's another character.
Danny Jabber.
A character named Fatty. This is going to be good. Fridge victim.
Jabbers, that's one of the nicknames for eyeballs in the swamp. Because you jab them. It's called jabbers. Also toes.
Toes or tails, as I call them. All right. This is probably our best episode ever.
It is.
Yep.
I do want to say, next week is Labor Day, as this airs. I am going on a little trip, so we're going to skip next week. But you got like 123 episodes to listen to if this is your first one. Go back and listen to, others.
Yep. Listen to...
go back and listen to other amazing episodes. It's like Slugs.
Listen to maybe like Slugs or what? There was an episode that we evoked earlier. I feel like about 90% of our episodes take place in swamps. Go listen to any one of those.
Go listen, because we're done and we're taking vacation next week. You take a vacation next week. Right, George?
Take a break. Don't listen. Yeah.
Just say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.
Sometimes my mind is racing now. I'm like thinking about, I'll have a nice walk with the dog after this is over and pat myself in the back. And when I walk the dog, I think about the nice night of sleep I'll have. When I'm sleeping, I think about the breakfast I'll have.
You're really it's
a terrible,
you're living
terrible
an exciting life. Oh boy. I'm breathing in right now, but shortly I'll be breathing out, and then the cycle will continue.
It will.